Hello and welcome to Student Voice. I'm Tayanna Cox. College students are always juggling assignments, work, family, and we often don't take time for self-care, particularly during the last year of COVID-19. Many people are becoming more aware of the work that goes into staying afloat among all these pressures. Joining us today to discuss counseling and self-care are Belinda Smith and Doug Byrd from Student Support. Welcome.
Thank you, and welcome to you. It's very good to be here with you today. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Tayanna.
Okay, a couple of questions. What are some ways the pandemic has affected students' mental health?
Well, the pandemic, school closures, social isolation, they're all taking a toll on our college students. While 2020, now it's been a rough year for everyone, but our young adults have been hit pretty hard with mental health concerns. Of course, several surveys and studies have been underway since the pandemic began. And the consensus among most of them is suggesting that mental well-being has been devastated by the pandemic's social and economic consequences. As well as the continued uncertainty that it brings, the uneasiness, the unsurety of what's coming next about our college education and post-college careers. When we think about the actual effects, I've got a few numbers here I'll share with you. From one of the Active Mind survey studies, it told us that 80% of college students say that COVID-19 negatively affected their mental health. And then 20%, which is 1/5 of the college students, they say that their mental health was significantly worsened. And these are those students that already had some signs of mental health or some struggles with mental health already. 48% of college students have experienced some financial setbacks. 74% report challenged in maintaining a routine, which is very significant, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as far as the effects, 55% do not know where to go for help. And that's one of the things that's been major during this time, is trying to help students to know where to go, how to get information, and how to get the assistance that they need. But the good news is 69% are still saying they're very hopeful about their future.
Okay. Mr. Doug, how about your input?
Well, I think Belinda's got some great points there. It's been a challenge to provide services for students during the pandemic because, of course, the college has been shut down. So we've been doing WebEx virtual meetings, and that's certainly better than nothing, but that presents challenges also. Sometimes there's technical difficulties, but we've done the best we can in that regard. So students have been seeking us out. I think you have a link to our website you're going to put up later on in the program, and we can show some more things there, both on campus and community resources. But yeah, it's been a rough year for all of us. I would say, I would add the intensity has really increased. Students have always come to us for stress and depression or whatever issue you want to choose. But to me, the intensity overall has been greater in the past year. For example, a lot of times I'll ask a student to rate their level of whatever, let's just say stress for an example. I'll ask them to rate that on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. And overall, the numbers this past have been higher in what they're reflecting on their level of stress or the level of depression. And the other thing, the effect this past year, the isolation, with everybody having to be in quarantine, and a lot of folks have lost their jobs due to the pandemic, and they can't get out and hang out with friends. It's been related more just to social media kind of contact. So there's been a lot of isolation and loneliness also, and they need somebody they can talk to.
Mm-hmm. And Doug, and you're absolutely correct when we start talking about that isolation and what it's done is doing with our students and the majority of our country. And of course, as you said, they're texting and they're calling their friends, but it's not the same. It's just getting together for a movie night. So that point is so well taken. And then when we talk about, and the other things that you mentioned, they're not in class, they're not seeing their classmates, they're not seeing their professors. Not to mention, the actual physical loss of loved ones in their life. They're losing their sense of normalcy, their routine. So a good summation might be, they're grieving. Our students are grieving. Just as many of us are, but our students are grieving because of the losses, the things that they can't continue to do that they once did.
Yeah, Tayanna, there's also the academic impact. A lot of our students do very well with online or virtual kind of classes, but a lot of our students struggle with that. A lot of them don't like that. And we've had some casualties, academic casualties, the last couple of semesters with that shift to the virtual format.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are some forms of self-care that students should be aware of and be practicing?
Yeah, self-care, a lot of practical things students can do, and that's been very challenging with the pandemic. The good news is right now I think we're on the downside of the pandemic with all the vaccinations and so forth. I think we're on the downside. Also, we're coming out of winter, and winter is rough on a lot of people anyway, pandemic or no pandemic, because the days are shorter, there's less sunlight, we're cooped up inside. So we're coming out of winter. So practical things that students can do for self-care, get outdoors, get some sunlight, get some fresh air, and get some exercise. I was talking to Chris, your supervisor, before we started up this morning about exercising. He and I both enjoy exercising, and it doesn't mean you have to join a gym or take out some kind of membership, but walking is a great exercise. You get out and walk on these nice, pretty days that we're having. A good brisk walk is a good way to burn off some stress. And I'll let Belinda go from there.
Well, one of the things that we try to help students to understand too is that don't underestimate your own resilience. Often we have a tendency to overestimate how much negative events will impact our lives. And then we underestimate how well we actually can cope. Just to get where we are today, we've probably all gone through a number of things. We've overcome many difficult situations. And that's resilience, overcoming insurmountable things. And so helping students to build and understand that confidence in their own ability to get through it is really important. So that resiliency, that's a part of self-care. Pulling from where you've already been to say, I can make that next step. I think you already mentioned the routines. Routines are important, and they have been broken. So now what can we do? We can create new routines, where you may have gone to the gym before class. So now you don't go to the gym, but you can walk your neighborhood in the mornings or the afternoon. So you're flexible. You make new routines that are healthy and that keep you going. So think about your normal, do what you can to stay in it, but then create some great ones to enhance what you already have. Create those ordinary moments that go for walks, that limit your times on the screen, stay in touch with your friends. And there's tons of workout videos online. You can get online and just find all kinds of free workout, from yoga to actual dance moves and that kind of thing. So that's out there also. And I mentioned a minute ago about the screen time, the media, and so much is going on in our world. If we can monitor or limit that monitoring on the media, we want to stay abreast of what's going on in the world, yes, but not to the point where it becomes addicting and you're doing it so much that it can be depressing. So that's one of the things, is to monitor that, stay as social as you can. And another thing that I've talked with a couple of students, or more than a couple, is being able to find their own religious or spiritual practices. They may have been doing something prior, but as we know, several churches, some of them have not been able to have services, but there's online things, and then there's connections within various groups that people can connect and get that religious or spiritual connection. that brings so many people motivation and hope. So you want to continue that as well as you can. And the last one I'm going to mention is the financial wellness. Do the best that you can with your finances, because we know that people are struggling. So being able to connect, and that's one of those things that we have to talk with students about, and we have some resources to help with those type of issues as well.
Okay.
Yeah, another thought, I think a major thought in terms of self-care is to talk and not bottle things up. The worst thing somebody can do when they're suffering is to bottle it up and keep it inside, and they need to talk. And a lot of folks are blessed if they have a friend or a family member or someone they can talk to as a shoulder to lean on. Some folks are not blessed that way, but we have counselors at college that they can talk to, and just getting it out can be very therapeutic. So talking, verbalizing, but bottling it, and men, I can say this, but men in particular have that tendency to want to just bottle things up, try to be that strong, silent type, and maybe go into some denial. But that can build up inside. The pressure builds up, and it can manifest itself in other ways. A lot of times you can suppress emotions over time. It can manifest in physical ailments, muscle pains, and all kinds of ailments. Doctors tell us that most of our ailments are psychosomatic, so it's really important to talk. I use the word vent a lot of times. Venting and talking it out. Get it out of your system. That's very, very healing and therapeutic.
Okay. And how or when should a student know when they need professional help?
Well, if a student, if you're feeling some kind of way, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling sadness beyond something that you feel you can cope with, you've increased anxiety, difficulties of daily living that's hindering your productiveness and your overall success in what you're trying to do. And certainly if you have or feel that you're going to harm yourself or at risk of harming yourself or someone else, then you definitely want to do that. And then, and as Doug mentioned a minute ago, just having or needing, wanting that listening ear. Being able to talk about whatever may be going on with you, just getting it out. And that's a part of that ventilation process that goes on in counseling. Being able to talk about it, to get it on the table, to hear to have an unbiased person to hear what you have to say. So whatever the stressor, there's nothing too small, there's nothing too big. So to seek professional help is basically saying, I want someone that I feel is going to be unbiased, and if I need and want the advice, will give that to me.
Yeah, if you're finding change in behaviors, significant change in behaviors, a lack of interest in normal things that you enjoy, then those would be reasons for wanting to seek out some help. Change in appetite, change in sleep patterns, things like this, change in hobbies and recreational activities. Also, certainly if your friends or family are noticing changes in you and they bring this up, to me, that's a major red flag because they know you better than anybody. And so I would say, if you're in doubt, seek out some help. And it's a free service for our students. It doesn't cost anything, and it's totally confidential. So I think it's a sign of strength to seek out mental health assistance. For many, many years, with a lot of folks, there's been a stigma, I think, associated with counseling and therapy. But to me, it's a sign of strength. If I go and say, look, I've got an issue, I need some help. To me, that's a sign that I want to take care of myself. And I think it's a healthy sign.
And I agree with that because, when we talk about self-care, that's just the word. What is it? Taking care of me and doing those things, even though everyone may not agree with it. And because in different communities, they have different thoughts about counseling, but you know what you need. And that strength is saying, this is what I need for me right now. So being able to reach into that inner self and pull on that and asking for the help that will help you get on a better path.
Okay. So what services and support does Chattanooga State provide students?
Once the college opens back up, we're located in IMC 124, and we take students by appointment. We take students walk in as we can.
Yeah, I know that personally.
Okay, great. So personal testimony. So we're here for one-on-one services. So there's a lot of resources in the community. We have an agreement with McNabb Center, Helen Ross McNabb Center, and we make referrals there as well as other places. Belinda may want to speak to the Chattanooga Chats that she coordinates, and that's some programming throughout the year. I'll let her talk about the Chattanooga Chats if she would like.
Well, Chattanooga State, we're really afforded a wonderful opportunity having counseling services for our students. We're able to work with students in a confidential manner when we're on campus face to face, right now via the virtual platform. We help students to manage anxiety, depression, overall life management skills, adjustment skills, communication skills. We help with the helping hands as far as getting them where they need, helping them with the paperwork, to receive assistance for helping hands, which is a financial assistance program. We help them with Tiger Cupboard Access, which is a food desert program. And then we make referrals, yes, into the community. And we work with a lot of community folks. McNabb is one, but we also do Joe Johnson, the partnership, the Chattanooga Family Justice Center. So we have a number of resources that we work with. Chattanooga Food Bank, Red Bank Church. I mean, it's just, I can't even sit here and try to name them all, but there are lots of resources that we use to help our students to connect to whatever resources they may need. And then there is Chattanooga Chats Workshop. It's a workshop series that focuses on social issues of concern. Some of those issues include suicide prevention and awareness, money management, domestic violence, education. We host the Clothesline Project, and this is a visual exhibit, and it brings awareness to the realities of domestic violence and the horrific collateral damage that's associated with it. We usually do that in the springtime. We weren't able to do it. It was scheduled for last spring. Was not able to do it because of COVID, but we look forward to being able to get that back on campus. We have free and anonymous online screenings. And once at the end, when you guys put up the website, there will be a link where you can actually go in and take one of these screenings. It's available 24/7. You can go in, it's anonymous. No one will know that you ever took it other than you, and hoping you will use that information to get the help that you may need. We consider it a checkup from the neck up. It's not diagnostic. However, it will give you symptoms that's consistent with diagnosable issues. So it's not, that's important. No, it's not to diagnose you. It's just to give you symptoms that you are displaying. And then it'll talk to you about what that could lead to. There are several screenings available for you to take. We have bipolar, depression, post-traumatic stress, eating disorders. So it's a number of different screenings. I always recommend that folks begin with the wide range. The wide range screening kind of encompasses all of those, and then it will point you in directions for follow-up. It's a wonderful tool. It's free. It's available 24/7 to our students. And so we encourage, and not just our students, let me say that as well. It's open to our students, our faculty, our staff. Anyone can go online and take this particular screening, and it can be very helpful and give you some really good information. So, and in saying all of that, I think Doug and I both would say that our services are more than just, worrying about the student getting the lesson done or getting the score. Of course, that's our goal, and it's very important. But we also, we're concerned about the social, emotional, and mental health needs of all of our students. And looking at that holistic approach, helping them to know that, that right now, especially during the pandemic, what they're going through, what they're feeling, it's normal. it's normal for the circumstances. So coming into counseling, getting some assistance, getting that helping hand, that listening ear, that's what it's about. And that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. And we love what we do. So that's the good thing about that.
All right, and is there anything else you both would want to share?
Well, I think that was a good summary of resources. I would say to our students, if you're not sure where to go on campus to get help, come to our office. And if we're not the appropriate place, if we can't provide what you need, then we can help you find that link on campus. Whether it might be financial aid or tutoring or whatever it may be. So if in doubt, look us up. And if we can't provide the service, we'll be glad to help you try to find the right resource.
All righty, well, that is it for this episode of Student Voice. For more information about counseling services at Chattanooga State, visit chattanoogastate.edu and click on student and then student resources, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.